Hey everyone, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're exploring a truly fascinating dynamic. We're going to see how a simple, everyday meal kit cooking session between a mother and her young child transforms into a total masterclass in authentic, spoken American English. We'll be following Mama and her child, Dory, as they whip up some jalapeno and beef tacos using a chef's plate meal kit. But we aren't just learning a recipe here. We're actually looking at how everyday domestic tasks provide literally the best environment for naturally picking up vocabulary, grammar, and those tricky, unscripted conversation skills.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll quickly cover preparation and kitchen safety, prepping the fresh produce, cooking and seasoning meat, assembling the tacos, and wrap up with authentic English practice.
Section 1. Preparation and kitchen safety. Let's get right to it.
So Mama and Dory are unpacking their chef's plate meal kit to make those jalapeno and beef tacos. And right off the bat, this gives us a fantastic initial vocabulary list, all neatly categorized by ingredient type. Think about how naturally this breaks down. You've got your fresh produce, onions, tomatoes, jalapenos, and shredded cabbage. Then the protein and dairy, ground beef and shredded cheddar cheese. And finally, the pantry or kit items, tortillas, oil, a chili cumin spice blend, tomato sauce base, and chipotle sauce. For anyone learning English, seeing these items actually grouped by their functional categories right there in a real kitchen makes them infinitely easier to remember than just staring at a random textbook list.
But hold on, before anyone touches the food, they demonstrate some super practical action verbs. Getting physically prepped to cook is a very action-heavy process. Mama tells Dory to wash his hands with soap and water, dry them off completely, and she even mentions rolling up their long sleeves. These phrasal verbs, wash off, dry off, roll up. These are the absolute bread and butter of fluent, native-level English. By hearing them while they physically perform these actions, the language instantly locks into the context.
And man, this next part brilliantly illustrates authentic, totally unscripted parenting language right smack in the middle of a kitchen hygiene lesson. Out of nowhere, Dory casually mentions he's picking his nose, and Mama instantly corrects him with, "Hey, no picking your nose in the kitchen." While it's a funny, completely unplanned little moment, it is pure, authentic English. It's spontaneous, context-driven, and perfectly showcases the kind of real-world dialogue you simply will never ever find in a formal language course.
Section 2. Prepping the fresh produce.
While sorting through the vegetables, Mama takes a deliberate educational pit stop. She clearly explains the difference between a tomato and a potato to Dory. Because Dory is a young kid just learning about the world, Mama naturally relies on basic descriptive adjectives. She explains that potatoes are bigger and can be brown, white, purple, or red, while tomatoes are specifically red, smaller, and used in tacos. As adults learning English, listening in on these simple parent-child explanations is a total goldmine. It naturally forces the speaker to use clear, basic, descriptive language that's incredibly easy to follow.
As they keep going, Dory actually helps peel the onions. And this prompts Mama to use some really relatable conversational phrasing about that classic struggle of chopped onions making our eyes water. She says, "Sometimes cutting onions, we start to cry, but not this time. This time we're not going to cry, we're going to be strong." Notice that natural use of the collective we and the future tense "we're going to." It's just this encouraging, empathetic way of speaking that conveys emotion and intent. It adds so much depth to what is otherwise a simple cooking instruction.
Narrating the physical preparation of washing all the vegetables and then chopping the onions, tomatoes, and spicy jalapenos on the cutting board serves as an excellent way to reinforce everyday kitchen verbs. You're taking raw ingredients and applying action to them, washing, chopping, using the cutting board. Hearing that repetition in a highly visual, active setting is exactly what cements language acquisition.
Section 3. Cooking and seasoning meat.
Now we get to combine step-by-step stovetop instructions with some critical safety boundaries. Following a super clear sequence, Mama outlines the process of sautéing the vegetables and browning the meat perfectly. She heats 2 tablespoons of oil in a large, non-stick pan over medium-high heat. Then in goes the beef, the chopped jalapenos, and the onions. They cook it off for 4 to 5 minutes, and here's a really great descriptive phrase she uses: breaking up beef until no pink remains. This is a highly specific instructional phrase that you'll hear constantly in American cooking. Finally, they season it and remove it from the heat. This is just imperative instructional English at its finest.
Now, the really crucial point here is Mama's clear, firm use of conversational English to warn Dory not to touch the hot pan. Right in the middle of those cooking steps, safety has to come first. She uses cause and effect language. We can't touch this because it's very, very hot and you'll get burned if you touch it.
It's a beautifully structured conditional sentence, delivered naturally and with real urgency. It teaches the listener not just the vocabulary, but the grammatical structure of cause and consequence in a real-time scenario.
Moving right along to the seasoning and simmering process. They mix in the chili, cumin spice blend, the tomato sauce base, and the salt. And okay, there is this hilarious moment where Dory looks at the thick tomato sauce base and amusingly points out that it looks like poo-poo. Again, it's just a real, unscripted moment of a child interacting with the world around them. Mama just rolls with it, they mix the spices thoroughly, and cook the beef and seasoning mixture, stirring often for 1 minute until it's fragrant. Words like fragrant and phrases like stirring often are excellent descriptors that really elevate your everyday vocabulary.
Section 4. Assembling the tacos.
We are finally ready for the absolute best part of any recipe, the assembly. This sequence serves as a fantastic active recall exercise, bringing back all the vocabulary we covered earlier. We warm the tortillas. We add the cooked beef mixture. We top it all with shredded cheddar cheese, add the fresh chopped tomatoes, top it with shredded cabbage, and finally, drizzle it with chipotle sauce. By the time Mama and Dory are assembling these tacos, you, the learner, have already seen the ingredients in their raw form, watched them being prepped, heard the actions described, and are now seeing them combined. It creates a completely solid, memorable loop of vocabulary retention.
The finished product looks absolutely delicious, and a very tired Dory is finally ready to sit down and eat dinner. Mama declares, we have ourselves a nice, beautiful taco. It's a really satisfying conclusion to the physical task, but it also marks the successful completion of a highly immersive language learning session.
Section 5. Authentic English Practice.
Let's wrap up by focusing on the overarching educational goal of this whole cooking session. At the end of their prep, Mama emphasizes a really crucial point. Immersing yourself in authentic, real-world spoken English is literally the absolute best way to practice and improve your language skills. Authentic English is the real, unscripted spoken language used naturally by native speakers in everyday life and tasks rather than formal textbook dialogue. Textbooks are great for foundations, for sure, but they don't teach you what to say when onion fumes hit your eyes, or how to urgently warn someone away from a hot pan, or how to navigate a kid's funny observations about tomato paste. Engaging with content where native speakers are performing everyday tasks completely bridges the gap between classroom learning and actual fluency.
So I leave you with this final thought. What everyday activity will you use to practice your English today? As you go about your day, think about how you can turn your own routine chores into your next great language lesson. Whether you're cooking dinner, folding laundry, or fixing a bicycle, narrate it to yourself. Look up the specific action verbs. Seek out unscripted content of people doing those exact things. Immerse yourself in the authentic language of everyday life. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope you feel inspired to bring authentic learning right into your daily routine.